Located in the southwest corner of the National Elk Refuge along Highway 89, the Jackson Hole and Greater Yellowstone Visitor Center sits in a prominent gateway location to the refuge and adjacent public lands. The National Elk Refuge is considered a flagship wildlife refuge. We have stunning landscapes and iconic wildlife like elk and bison. We have wolves and bighorn sheep, bald eagles, sandhill cranes. And we also have over 4 million visitors a year that come here to enjoy both the wildlife and the landscape. And because we have such a large national and international audience, we have a chance to share broader messages such as climate change, long-distance migration routes, and illegal wildlife trade, as well as help people learn to enjoy the outdoors and then subsequently learn to protect and conserve what they love. The center is open 7 days a week, year-round, and serves 3 federal agencies, 1 state wildlife agency, and 2 nonprofits, including the Jackson Hole Chamber of Commerce.
The ability to have a visitor center that when people come in, that you can have a human interaction talking about things that you can do and compelling reasons to stay in Jackson and extend your stay. And there's all kinds of evidence that shows that interactions at visitor centers lengthen stays and that it adds vitality to communities.
And I can say that on a completed Wyoming Office of Tourism survey that was completed in 2014, it stated that 85% of all visitors that go in and interact with a person will either extend their stay or extend their experience in some way, shape, or form, whether that be an added activity, additional room nights, additional reasons for you to go, oh wow, there's more reasons for me to stay in this area.
The magic things that we hear from our visitors is that since we have all of the agencies housed under one roof, there's more of a reason to go.
We get numerous comments to the effect of how wonderful it is and how amazing it is to have a one-stop shopping center where someone can go take care of all of their needs, whether that be a hunting license, a fishing license, an RV permit, a snowmobile permit, a firewood permit, a Christmas tree permit, information, then buy something that improves the educational components and initiatives of the National Elk Refuge. Last year, the revenues from travel and tourism in our county were just over $869 million. The return on investment is just huge.
And so the idea that we're able to combine all together is just a huge tax savings, you know, from local taxes that we collect, from federal taxes that the other 3 agencies collect. All of us are paying a quarter, you know, of what keeps things going. It's a very logical marriage, purely from a fiscal responsibility standpoint.
The Visitor Center was built by the Wyoming Department of Transportation in 1974, at a time when Jackson was still a sleepy little ski town without national and international recognition. The center's interagency partnerships were established in 1995 to provide a community-based, efficient approach to visitor services as Jackson Hole became a destination location.
Left our own devices as the Forest Service, we'd be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And this is a way to reach all those visitors that come and really help them develop a sense of place and understand this incredible ecosystem that they've just stepped into.
The Visitor Center's construction reflects the original intention of the building's use. Designed as a traveler's wayside rest area and general orientation facility, it wasn't built with appropriate exhibit space, room for agency-specific information, or accommodations for future increased visitation.
This area is managed by the Jackson Hole Chamber of Commerce, and as you can see, the way it's currently designed, if visitors are looking at brochures, they're oftentimes in the way of other visitors that may be trying to pass by, whether they're going to the restrooms or the sleigh ride. So this space can become quite congested. Due to the lack of space in the corner of this display area, it becomes pretty apparent that we don't have enough space to feature all the federal lands in the area. We're quite limited on what we can actually make readily available to the public. The restrooms are in high demand. It has a pretty small entryway, and so when we do have larger groups or a bus tour comes in and everyone needs to use the restroom, you can see where the lines would form out from the restrooms here and reduce the flow of traffic. Visitors that are coming in to participate on interpretive sleigh rides will stage in this area. And so it's not uncommon for folks to just line up along the running elk display or sit on the stairwell, literally blocking the flow of visitor traffic as people are entering and exiting the building.
If you have tickets for sleigh rides number 10 or 11, the shuttle bus is going to pull up out front in just one moment. If you would please gather your stuff and meet us there, that would be great. Sleigh rides number 10 and 11.
We could probably fit no more than 50 adults for a program we're leading this afternoon, and you can see how tight it is.
We are nowhere at our maximum in that visitor center at the moment. Each year we're seeing multiple increases in international, especially visitors. People are going to want more and more of these areas. And I think it's important when you're looking at budget and capital outlays that you say, do we want to build so that once the project is complete, it's already full, or that we have some capabilities to make some changes and adjustments for the future?
Ease of movement and ADA compliance were not considered in the original design, now creating bottlenecks and congested areas during busy times of the day. Nor was there consideration for visiting school groups, bus tours, and educational programming that is now commonplace and related to each partner's mission.
Spend about an hour here inside the visitor center, rotating through a couple of fun stations that we have planned for you guys. And then after that, you're gonna head a couple miles north and go on a wagon ride.
It's a multi-agency center that has been really successful and is used as a model a lot of times around the country on how these different agencies can work together. It generates a huge amount of income. We get a lot of visitors in there. The profits now from our sales in the bookstore do things like elk collaring and research, plus staffing the visitor center and the other education programs. We are paying for a lot of the basic needs that would normally be covered with government funding. I've been with the association for 28 years, and many times over the years we've either created a new visitor center, remodeled it, or increased the size of the bookstore. Every time there's been a direct correlation between the size of the bookstore and the revenue generated. So it's very important that the sales are used for generating income. We need space for people to shop comfortably, and that will extend the interpretation value of the products in the store.
40 years since the center's construction, visitation to the Jackson Hole Valley has exploded, with over 4 million visitors per year coming to the area to enjoy the spectacular scenery, view the renowned wildlife, and recreate on area public lands.
We are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service in 2016, so we're beginning those celebrations. And so visitation to Grand Teton National Park, without question, is going to increase this summer. This visitor center being kind of the gateway into Grand Teton National Park, the projections are that visitation will just keep rising over the next few years. So all new facilities should plan for growth. In the design of the building, the open space in the lobby would be pretty exciting because it's just a gathering place where people can come in and kind of self-orient themselves to where they want to go in the visitor center. In my opinion, it's a must for the new visitor center in town.
Today, the visitor center partnerships remain vibrant and flourishing. A variety of services are offered, designed to meet the needs of the partnering organizations. Visitation often exceeds 300,000 people annually, with 320,000 recorded in 2015. Winter visitation has clearly risen over the years, making it a busy, year-round center. Now, winter visitation can often rival summer numbers. Over the years, a number of structural and design issues have impacted operations. Dramatic visitation increases have stressed the center and its infrastructure to a point where repairs are only short-term and don't address the needs of the undersized and aging building. There are also health and safety considerations, such as standing water in the crawl space, mold and mildew buildup, a lack of accommodations for persons with disabilities, and seismic standards. Staff and employee meetings are held without privacy in public exhibit areas.
Right now, we're going to be putting on our Living in Bear Country workshop, and I'm having a hard time finding a place. I mean, we do hunter safety classes. We always have more people than fit, and so it would be so awesome to have, you know, a facility for those types of public workshops and, you know, and talks that are given. There's a lot of them in this community. There really are.
More employees share tight workspaces. There's almost always 2 people in here working. I mean, I come over here and I don't have a place to set down my coat. You know, if you can only have 2 people eat at a time and you've got 12 to 15 people working here, if you want to give everybody a half an hour, you might have to start lunches at 10 o'clock to get everybody to be able to have a place to eat.
And this is the overflow or the staging area to what's going out there.
In January 2016, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service placed the Visitor Center on a list of proposed new construction projects. The following month, a team of service personnel met to begin initial planning for a possible new visitor center. The team included visitor service specialists and both a service planner and architect. The team met one by one with the 5 current partnering organizations to reaffirm their dedicated commitment to an interagency facility, assess their current and projected needs, and discuss ways to improve the efficiency of visitor services in a new center. After 3 days of input and discussion with partners, the planning team compiled the information and began calculating the space and elements needed to meet current services and educational goals. This work laid the foundation for a well-thought-out visitor center and begins an exciting process of bringing to the American people a much-needed visitor facility at an iconic refuge within the National Wildlife Refuge System. It also builds capacity and additional efficiencies for the National Elk Refuge, its local communities, the state of Wyoming, and other neighboring federal land management agencies.
This is a destination, this whole valley, and people like to come here and they're not going to stop coming. So we need to be ready for them and be able to have uses for our spaces that are multiple use, that can adapt and grow and change, and that we can fit for whatever our need is in the future.
I mean, I just feel like that visitor center does so much. People not only get their information at the visitor center itself, but they can have a wonderful wildlife viewing experience, you know, right out the door.
When you see a really good example of a visitor center that when you walk in, it captures the sense of place where you are, that's what really excites me. I think it can be just an incredible facility.
97% of Teton County is federally owned, so not only is it forward-thinking, but it's efficient for us to consider pooling our limited resources and continue to offer such outstanding visitor services. And in doing so, we can encourage the visiting public to enjoy natural resources and become better stewards of our public lands.